Let's look at Google Docs. On the right-hand side, you'll see a bunch of items that I've already created. You also see items that have been downloaded from elsewhere. On the left-hand side, you see this nice red create button. That's what we want. You can create a folder, which is what I need to do to organize my stuff. You can create a document, same as Word. Presentation is similar to PowerPoint, spreadsheets like Excel, and then form. That's what we're going to look at today. So our first job is to pick a theme, and I'm going to choose bluebirds. Hit OK. Now we don't see the theme on our background. It's alright. At any given time, if you click this View Live Form, it's going to show you what your form looks like, and you can see that my theme is applied. Okay. So our first job is to give our form a title, and you can title it whatever you want. And then your form description. So in there, maybe you want to tell the students what this survey's for, what it is that they're supposed to be doing. That's the description. It's optional. You have question title. Question title is actually the exact question you want the student to answer. So what is your favorite color? Whatever it is, you would type that in there. Help text is just for you to use if you need to clarify the question or give them examples of what it is that you're looking for, that sort of thing. Then you have the question type. You need to choose how it is that you want the students to be answering or parents to be answering through text, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, and I'll go over each one of those in just a minute. So let me go to a reading interest survey, which I have already created, and what I've done is gone through and given you an example of each of these types to show you what it does. So I didn't just give my survey a description. My question title is actually the name. I want to know who it's from, and that's a perfect time to use text. Now, you can do data validation, and it's optional. Do I want to have them give me text that does not contain the word NA or whatever it is, and that might not apply to this question. But if you have anything like that, you can use data validation, and what it's going to do, it's not going to let them submit the survey if it doesn't meet the requirements. Under every question, you'll also see this required question. If it is checked, it's not going to let them submit it until they have successfully completed that question. Okay, so you don't have to do it on the whole survey. You can do it on individual questions, which is nice. That's the text box. The next response type is a paragraph, and it literally lets them type in a paragraph. So what is your favorite book and why? And as you can see, I put in help text. What sets this book apart from any other book you previously read? Speak about the plot, character, setting, whatever. Data validation, I can say that I want them to have a minimum count of maybe 120 characters, whatever it is, and it is a required question. Done. The next one, you can have them respond with multiple choice. So how often do you read? I read anytime I get my hands on a book, and you can go down through, you can keep adding option 4, option 5. I don't want those, so I'm going to X out of it. And then I also chose to use other, so they could submit their own answer. Now, when they do this, they're only going to be able to select one of these. They won't let them choose multiples, but that's fine because you also have an option for multiples. If you look at the next question I put in here, put a check mark next to the kind of reading you like best in the topic, blah, 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 blah. What you can then do is go to the check mark boxes. That's the one I used, and I typed in every option that I wanted them to be able to choose. And then now when the student sees this, they can select multiple ones, and you can keep going. You can add more and more and more that you would like. You can use other. You can use the data validation. That's going to let them choose, maybe you want them to choose at least 5. Okay, you would be able to have that as an option. The next type, and I'm buzzing right through these, is, where are we? There we go. A scale. So how much do you enjoy reading for fun? That would be a scale question. And it lets you choose, oops, we're already on scale. I could do help text on a scale of 1 to 5, and I could do on a scale of 1 to 10 if I would like to. 1, I'm not a fan at all. 5, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. So you can label these however you would like. So that's a scale. A grid. Now a grid is pretty cool. What this is going to do is let you do rows and columns, and I'm going to show you what this looks like in a minute. But you label your rows, what you want them, and your columns almost every day, almost once a week, about once a month. I'm just going to go to view live form so I can show you how this looks. This is how the column looks. So you can see they're labeled all up at the top in your columns, and then the rows are down the side. Now the students can go through and pick one, sort of similar to the survey that they have just done. So that is that one. The next one I want to show you is the date. Now you may be able to use this for different things, and this probably isn't the ideal situation or ideal question for this, but you're required to read 10 books for the quarter in order to fulfill your reading requirement for this year. By what date do you anticipate having your 10 books read by? And then I put, this is your personal goal. So what they would do is I have a date. You can include the year, you can include the time. The student will be able to go through on a calendar and actually select a date to be submitted or for you to see. What time during the day do you most likely read for fun? This is the one that lets you choose by time, so you can get even more specific, and they can go through and choose the time, and that's it. So those are the basic things that you can do when you're creating a response or how you want your students to respond. So each time I'm adding items, this is how I'm doing it. I'm clicking the little down arrow, and you can see them, they're all here to choose from. Now we have some other options that I just want to go over. So we have selection header, page break, image break, or image and video. So if I want a page break anywhere throughout here, say I want a page break right here, I'm going to click on the question. I can do this one of two ways. I can do it as I'm going through as a page break, and then I could do a page break. Or at the very end, if I decide I want to go back and put a page break, click on the question. I can go up to insert, and I can go down to page break. Now see how it's raised this up? It's telling me that there's going to be a new page, so when the student is doing the survey, done, I'm going to go view my live form. It's going to let them fill out till that point, and then it's going to have a break. Now you notice my time question is not on there because if I didn't fill it out, and these are all required. Had I filled this out and I hit continue, then it would have jumped to my last question. Okay, so that's what page break does. I don't actually want that in there, so I'm going to X out of that. The other option that you can do is if I go to insert, image. Now, this shouldn't be on here. This is what you'll see. Oops, sorry. See it first. You can upload things from your desktop. If you have an image saved, take a snapshot of something that's on your computer. Put a URL in there that takes you to a website snapshot. But what I found really cool is the search option. This is going to search like Google Images. So if I wanted to place a book in here, or if you're a history teacher, I know 7th grade, they analyze cartoons, political cartoons. Maybe put a cartoon in there and then have them reflect on it. So there's my image. Okay, it's in there. I can title my image, hover text, anything that I put in here. Now whenever the student hovers over it, it's going to have that text associated with it on the hover over. So that's cool too. Now right below, I can hit done here, and then I could insert a question right below it and maybe ask about the image or whatever it is, so that way they can go back and reflect on it that way. I don't want that in there. Another great feature is, let me go, say at the bottom, I'm going to put a video in here. It lets you insert videos from YouTube. This could be very useful. So I'm going to go to YouTube. This is a video that you'll see. This video is on Flubberoo, which is how you can actually use Google Forms. This lady is telling you, teacher, how you can use Google Forms to do your grading for you once you have your responses submitted. So I suggest that you watch that whenever you get the link. It's really awesome, and it's quick, and it's easy, and it saves you a lot of time. So let me go back to my reading interest survey. Sorry, wrong one. and I hit paste. It's gonna search for it. No. Let me go to URL. Paste. Here's our video. Perfect. That's what I wanted. Hit select. My video's in there. I can title it. I can give it a caption. And then I can add an item below it. Maybe a paragraph one. Okay. Whatever. Alright, anyways. I can add another question below it. And maybe ask them to reflect on the video. So that's another option that you can use. So now that we have everything in there that we want, I want to show you a few other things up here at the top. So let me go back into my untitled one. Do you notice up here at the top you have choose response destination? You need to set that up. That's just going to, if you click on it, it's going to be where your responses go to. So do I want my responses in a new spreadsheet? Yes, that's probably what you're going to use most often. And you can name your spreadsheet. And I name mine so they correspond with the form. So that way when you're going back and looking through your documents, this icon is going to be the form, so that's going to be the questionnaire. This little icon is going to be the responses, and they'll all be stored in there. So it's easily organized. So you're going to title it. If you want them in a new spreadsheet each time, so there are certain situations where you can click that. But for the most part, and from what I've read, a new spreadsheet is probably what you're going to use. And that's probably why they have the default here is to always create a new spreadsheet. I'm going to unclick it just because I want to. Now this changes it to view responses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, sorry, I'm jumping all over. I'm going to go into our BYOD form that you all took last week. So here it is. And because we have responses compiled, if you view loud responses, in here you'll see all of the responses that we had on a spreadsheet. Okay? So you can view them other ways. So let me go back. You can also see your responses this way. Now, if you click on summary of responses, it's going to set it, it's going to give you a chart and text. So that way you can see a little better, what your responses are if you want them that way. The other thing that you can do is if you click this, accepting responses, say you want to turn off your form. You don't want anyone to be able to respond until a certain time or until you turn it off or on or off. By clicking not accepting or accepting, you're going to turn your form on and off. So we have those. You can change your response destination. That's what you're going to do with your response. Now, let me go back into my reading interest survey. There's a few other things you need to set up. And I'm going to go to the very bottom. Here's the confirmation page. Before we're done, we need to put something in there. This is what's going to be viewed by the student on their device whenever they're done. As soon as they click submit, it's going to say this message. And I have it saying, thank you for taking the survey. Keep calm and read on. Okay, and then they'll know it's been submitted. Okay, so you can have that do one of three things. When it's done, it will either display a link to submit another response. Now, if you had a bunch of students using the same device, taking the same survey over and over again, they're doing whatever they need to do on the same computer, you might want it to do this because then you're not constantly resetting up the survey. It'll automatically give them a link to submit another response. Publish and show a link to the results. Maybe you want, after the student submits their answer, maybe you want them to be able to view what their classmates are submitting as well. You would click that one. Or allow respondents to edit response after submitting. They can also click that one to be able to go edit their responses afterwards. For now, we're going to keep it on show link to, or show the link to submit another response. Okay. Now you have the option to send form. This is going to give you a link where you can copy and put it into your QR code. So I'm on QR stuff. I'm going to hit paste, hit enter. Now I have my QR code. This is what I will put right into my Word document or give to the students to get back to my survey. So because a Google Doc is constantly on the internet, you don't have to hit save over and over again. It's automatically saving as we go, which is nice. You just need to title your form, so whatever your form is, so that way you can find it in your files. Hit OK. and you're done. So that's Google Forms.